You're listening to The Mountain Spirit, a podcast of Christian Appalachian Project, where we share inspirational stories of faith, service, and compassion. I'm a firm believer that we're all connected by our shared humanity, and that finding that intersection sometimes just means having a conversation. Today we get to hear from Nate Clark. He's been with Texas Roadhouse for 15 years. Texas Roadhouse is a corporate sponsor of CAP's annual Hunger Walk, which seeks to bring awareness to food insecurity in Appalachia. But Texas Roadhouse also volunteers and donates to the mission of Christian Appalachian Project. Nate began his journey as a store staff accountant, spent several years in staff accounting, and eventually transitioned to fixed assets, where he now leads leasing accounting. Hey, Nate, welcome to the show.
Hello.
It's so good to have you today.
Thank you very much.
Unpaid volunteers are often the glue that hold the community together. Volunteering allows you to connect to your community and make it a better place. Even helping out with the smallest tasks can make a real difference to the lives of people and organizations in need. Volunteerism is a basic expression of human relationships. It is about people's need to participate in their society and to feel that what they do matters to others. We strongly believe that the social relationships intrinsic to volunteer work is critical to individual and community well-being. The ethos of volunteerism is infused with values such as solidarity, reciprocity, mutual trust, belonging, empowerment, and all of those things contribute significantly to our quality of life. We at CAP could not do our work without volunteers like Nate and his friends at Texas Roadhouse. So why don't you can you tell us a little bit, the audience who may be unfamiliar with you or with Texas Roadhouse, can you briefly tell me what brought you to Texas Roadhouse?
Oh, yeah, well, that's an easy one. Actually, it's just because the culture is so great. I know besides they're a people first company, and their main focus, not just on legendary food, is that the fact that they're committed to on serving the local communities, through either outreach or giving back. And because Texas Ross, their mission is to leave every community pretty much better than the way they found it. And it's a great company. I wish more companies would model after them, because they're definitely an inspiration.
That sounds amazing. I know that they have great food. Texas Roadhouse is our go-to place. If it's Father's Day or my husband's birthday, we don't have to ask. It's always going to be Texas Roadhouse. No matter what kind of special occasion, Mother's Day, Christmas, our birthdays, we always know that you can get great food. I have never had a bad food experience at you can see I am a big fan. Whether we have steak or seafood or burgers, chicken tenders, it doesn't matter. It's always great. The food is great. The desserts, entrees, all of it. We love it. The customer service is amazing. Okay, so that's my endorsement today for Texas Roadhouse. But can you tell us a little bit more about that culture of volunteering? Because not all companies do. Kind of alluded to it in your answer. Not all companies do have that. So can you speak to that culture of the volunteer spirit for Texas Roadhouse?
Why advertise or spend money on things really has no impact to even the area or the community that you're in? And then when I came through the front doors and they explained that to me, and I'm like, wow, why don't other companies think that way? So why waste the money on advertisement or stuff? Put that money to good use. I was very inspired by that. And then the thing is, just even with getting with CAP, I think this was one of the first outreaches that I went to. I've been doing this since 2008, and it's been great. But it's not just local. Every restaurant across the United States, they all do it. Even in when they have their conferences, they have one particular day where all of them will come together, even at a conference, and they'll still go out and do something large, some type of large community outreach, even during their conferences. So it's always been a big thing.
That sounds amazing. So tell us a little bit to coming to CAP. We're going to talk about that a little bit later on. But can you tell me, what was your first volunteer opportunity with Texas Roadhouse, and what stood out to you about that trip?
The first one was with Camp Shawnee, which was a summer camp. It's changed so much. It's such a nice camp. When we went there, they were telling us that they'd offer camp for children, and it was only like $10 for the parent, like they could send their child to camp. And just everything they do with them, because a lot of them they don't have a lot of these amenities or even these other like friends or whomever to be around. On top of that, I know I'm kind of going off task. Was like they definitely would talk about, and I remember them talking about when they had like teenagers that would actually come to the camp just because they were involved, they were there in the camp, they'd have almost like 100% graduation rate based on the teenage campers, which I was like just how much that impacted. I mean, they did so much more. Like they have a clothes closet. I remember one time when they had a little boy, he had came and had his little suitcase with him. And, as they would go to their events and this and that, other kids would go back and change and stuff like that. But he would never do that. And they noticed like, well, why won't he doesn't ever change? And he just had the suitcase with him. Well, then come to find out, whenever the camp counselors was with him, when he opened the suitcase, there was nothing in it, had no clothes, no nothing. And then when they took him over and they had a clothes closet there, and they had given him some clothes or whatever, and he was smiling ear to ear. But then when he asked him, he's like, "Are you okay?" And he asked if he could have some for his little brother. So they had given him clothes also to take with him so he could give his little brother. And I was like, man, that was one of the first stories I heard, and it's just like you just don't think of these things. And the little boy wanted to go so bad, but he wanted to have a good picture of himself, so he brought an empty suitcase. So it's just stuff like that, and I'm like, you just don't think about the things that you have that others don't. And hearing people do that, like, it just makes you want. I mean, if they could do that, what can I do as well?
Absolutely. I know you're a dad, and tell me how uh, what that did to your heart as a dad to think of a child coming to camp and having to bring an empty suitcase because they had nothing to bring with them, and then having the compassion enough to want to look out for his little brother.
Oh, it hurts just thinking about that. Because the thing is, I noticed that whenever you have children of your own, it's like your mind will go into more what ifs things and possibilities, more future thoughts. And it's like it connects, it hits home, and you're just like, golly, like you want to help them all if you can. But it's just knowing that at least someone out there and there is this going on, and to know this, it's very heartwarming.
Yeah. Yeah, those are some powerful memories to take from your very first trip. So, how many outreach opportunities have you been able to take advantage of?
Oh wow. I think I've gone almost every year. I think I've only missed a couple, like of course one during COVID, because and that I think they also had some because it was kind of shut down too. But I think I've gone almost every year except for like two. But yeah, and I mean we've done more, so it's not always at the camp. Like we've actually gone out with residents and that as well. Some of the projects that we've done. So like it would be, and I can't remember them all, but like for example, we'd go to some residents and like building wheelchair ramps, like, and that was just to make sure the resident could like make their hospital visits, even at the camp or whatever. I remember one year we took and we transformed a deck. It was just an old deck and it turned into like the arts and crafts building. And then eventually, I think over there they had like a little outdoor pavilion, which we changed like the benches into like chapel pews. And then it could be other projects where I remember we were digging. Oh, brother. I mean, here's the thing: you work hard, but it felt so good. I don't know how to explain it. Like it felt so good, and also seeing what you've done. Like there was one, I think probably one of the roughest. We had to dig like 20 holes, and it was through this solid rock to make a guardrail. I mean, we've done other projects too, but I mean, it's just very, very fulfilling. One of my sons went last year, and like he really loved it. So I hope we get to do it again this year. And then my youngest son is just now at the age which I want him to go with me as well. It's a good time. I'm so glad. I'm thankful that even Roadhouse, allows us to bring our family or our friends to volunteer as well. That's the other thing too, which I'm thankful for that as well. But yeah, my son, he got a real big kick out of it, and he was tearing it up. And I was like, you don't do this at home, man. Where'd all that come from here?
Exactly, exactly. Like he said, I'm here to take care of business. I mean, business.
Yeah, yeah.
So, you mentioned that not only being able to bring family and friends along, but I'm sure that means you also get to work alongside coworkers and it's just like a different kind of a space. So, what does it mean to you in terms of just like building that camaraderie outside of your own department, maybe cross departments? And why would you encourage other businesses to consider sending their teams on a service opportunity like this?
I would say the fastest way to build any type of relationship with someone else is when you all are working hard together for some, because you have a common goal. So automatically we don't know each other, but yet we're working towards a common goal and we get things done and that's success. Like I would say for me personally, that is the fastest way to build a relationship. So like even my kids, like it's like networking, but it's just for some reason you will have a more of a personal connection when there's work involved. And that's the thing, you both have a common goal, and then when you complete that, and you know how hard it is, and it's just satisfying. So I would definitely, the more you're involved, and I would say definitely any type of a work oriented would build the relationship quicker than just, I don't know, just like meeting or just like a party or chit chatting or anything like that. But when you have something that you are completing, it's just the achievement part. Like when you're achieving something together, I think that's how it strengthens like the bond with somebody that you've never met before.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's a very cool story. And that's a way to think about that as well, about building those connections in your business. And I can't help but imagine that then those stronger relationships just help you to excel even more in your business arena.
Oh yeah, and here's the thing though. Once you've done that, and let's say, okay, for example, when I first started, like I didn't know a lot of people in our construction department or anything like that. But then during that time, and you meet that person later on, if you have a question, even if it's work oriented, at least you'll know who to go to or who to reach out to. There's some people that they won't hardly, if they're introvert, they won't speak out initially. But if you're more comfortable when you have that connection, and then are more likely to speak up later because they do feel comfortable, or they do know somebody in that department now where they won't be so shy to go over in that area. But yeah, it helps that there's more value to it than you'll even realize until like a situation comes up.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Hello, friends of CAP. This year, CAP turns 60, and we couldn't be more excited. This marks 60 years of building hope, 60 years of transforming lives, 60 years of sharing Christ's love through service in Appalachia. And we plan to be here for many more years to come. In celebration of our anniversary, we have created a special website where you can view the CAP archives and experience our story throughout the first 60 years of CAP. Thank you for being part of our story. Visit us at wearecap.org. That is wearecap.org.
You've talked about coming on several trips with Texas Roadhouse. I'm assuming that these are all outreach opportunities in Appalachia. So when you signed up for your first trip, what did you expect coming to Appalachia? And I don't know what your background is, but what was that experience like for you?
I have been in other projects and stuff before, even with Roadhouse. Like I've done stuff with like Habitat for Humanity, even with our church, food banks, like even like if it's packing like large bags of rice, like I've done other things in the past. And then here's the thing, like even when you were driving there, like there'll be some times where you're driving down a road and like the houses you passed, they look like they're abandoned, and like we're heading to a resident, we're working on the house or going to the camp, and then when we're driving back to the place we're staying, there's lights on in those houses, but they have no windows. And I was like, oh my goodness, like it didn't appear like somebody was living there. When I was going to buy my first house, I was like, oh no, wonder if I have to hire somebody. I don't want them to cheat me or whatever, try to charge me more. So I was like, well, I'm gonna go to carpentry school as like a prerequisite. And I remember going to those classes and how much money it costs. And half the time you're in there, you're just using their tools. Whenever I went to the first like Habitat for Humanity or going to Christian Appalachia, you will learn much faster there because they have like very experienced workers right along with you. So you don't have to know how to do any of this stuff, but they're there the whole time. And you're talking about like a skill you wanted to learn, that's another benefit outside of helping someone. Like that's what I told my boys. I was like, you all are that's what you all are going to do, and they enjoyed it. But like you learn if you have no knowledge of carpentry and you ever want to learn that stuff, there's a benefit there for you as well, along with helping someone else. So I will say that if you were nervous, like, well, I don't know how to do this, or maybe I can just all I can do is paint. That's totally fine. That's good too. You don't have to be no professional remodeler or really good with tools or anything like that. It's just there's always something there, and then you can build onto the knowledge you have. So yeah, it was very easy. I already had the confidence anyway because I've already done that. But there was other people that came along with me that had no clue. And the thing is, after they were there, they're like, "This is great." So there should not be an intimidation factor. They're the nicest people. There's excellent people there that can help you, with any of this. Like there's no level of knowledge or requirement to be able to help. I mean, yeah, there's some people that can cook. I'm not a only thing I mean, if it comes to like a barbecue or a grill, I'm the meat person, but I don't know how to do any of this other stuff. Like I'm not really a big cook, but I mean, if you knew how to cook, that's a thing too. Because I mean, making lunches or whatever, yeah,
Absolutely. We have volunteers that come and work in the kitchen and they make meals and they put the food out, make sure that the volunteers who are working on home sites have a hot meal when they come back. So there's something for everybody. So whatever your skill level or no skill level, if you have a heart to serve, CAP can find a place for you. So you mentioned bringing your one son and looking forward to when the other son is old enough to come. Why was it important to you to be able to bring them to have this kind of a volunteer experience and maybe a place outside of their own community?
well, first off, it's just like I enjoyed that just because, like, one, it's my son, and I wanted to actually be there for the first time he volunteered, and I wanted to see how he reacted. He didn't know anyone there. I wanted to see, because a lot of times he won't open up too fast, but holy cow, he was a whole different person. And I think really it's because the work that was involved. He was working next to, and that's where I kind of got that knowledge, like, or understanding, like, you know what? You will build a relationship much faster when you're working on the same goal. Like he was already cutting up with people he's never talked to before. And granted, try to throw spiders on people. I mean, he was just kind of goofing off, but it was just like, dude, do you know who those people are? Like it was enjoyable. That and it's just being a dad watching your son. And I mean, he was an adult pretty much. Like he was out there just like anybody else, and it was great. That is just it's always fun when you can experience the first thing of one of your child with your children.
Right, absolutely. I'm pretty sure I'm going to say I don't want to be on the work site with your son if he's going to throw a spider on me. However, I have heard that you have some very funny stories from while you were volunteering. Do you have a funny story that you can share with us from one of your experiences?
We were in the camp and we were inside the little I think it was the boys dorm, and I was the first one to have to get into the shower. Well, the thing is the water was so cold. So yeah, I was kind of screaming, I guess higher than I was supposed to be. And then but thing is I stayed there the whole time, and then everybody else, they would step out, whatever, and then go back in. And what was so messed up is the day we were leaving. So it was like 3 days later. We're leaving, and we just happened to move this. I can't remember what it was. We moved a board or something. And there was a door, and we opened up, and we're like, "Holy cow! We could have turned the water heater on." I was like, "Daggone it, man!" But the thing, they always bring that up because they're like I'm not exactly a small individual, but apparently my voice can hit some pretty high notes. But it was cold. It was so cold.
So, Nate, tell me for people who may not, because you've talked about the impact on yourself, your son, the community, Texas Roadhouse culture. So, for folks who may not have considered volunteering, why would you encourage them to get involved at whatever level?
For witnessing like how the impact of CAP, I mean, it's heartwarming and it's inspiring. Like to me, if each one of us has the power, I mean, we all have the power to make a difference. And the thing is, all we need to do is ask like two questions: how can I help, or what can I do? I mean, just that small gesture can change someone's reality. I would encourage everyone to start by just asking one of those questions and then really notice how it transforms your life and the lives of those around you. That's what I would suggest.
Good advice. Lots of people have never visited Appalachia. What have you learned about the region during your volunteer service that you would like to share?
Even though, and I guess the areas that we're in, even though like it's large open spaces and land and woods, and it's not highly populated. I mean, there is a lot of help and needs there. And just knowing, like, when I drove past areas and you didn't see people, they're there, you just don't see them. There is needs there. I mean, there's definitely poverty there. And you can see it. And then sometimes you might not see it. You might need help, like, well, what areas are we talking about? Well, CAP and they will know which areas are needed or which individuals. I mean, it's all ages too. From the littlest child, I mean, even to your senior citizens, they're all there, and they need help. Some of them might even have where they're alone now. Their significant others gone, or their family. They all have their other families too. So sometimes you can't always rely that your family could help take care of you, because if they have the family of their own, sometimes they can't do that. So it is good to at least have other individuals to be able to help as well.
Yeah, that's important to know that we are all part of the same community, even if we live in different communities, that we could come alongside people and love on them and meet them where they are, no matter what the need. Because all of us have been, I'm sure, in a place where you just need a little encouragement or need someone to walk along beside you. And so we're very grateful for volunteers like you and the volunteers from Texas Roadhouse and others who come and just love on people and meet them where they are. Nate, our time flew by as I knew it would. We always end every episode with this question, so I'd like to pose this to you. The mission statement of Christian Appalachian Project is building hope, transforming lives, and sharing Christ's love through service in Appalachia. Hope, transformation, love, and service. Which one of these words resonates with you the most when you think of Appalachia?
From the recipient, hope. From everyone else is the love and service. But I think they're all intertwined. And then the thing is, it makes me think of family. Family doesn't mean it has to be through blood. It can be from anyone, anywhere, all walks of life. Doesn't matter age, skin color, nationality, anything. We can all come together and take care of each other. Oh man, that almost kind of hit me a little bit there.
Yeah, it hit me too. That's a great answer. That's a great way to end. I know that it's September and Texas Roadhouse is serving this month with CAP, and we are extremely grateful for you all's commitment to lifting up people in need in Appalachia. Thank you so much for being on the show today.
Oh, I really appreciate it. I really appreciate all you all do. Thank you for being there. And I know everyone else around that area would appreciate you as well. But yes, I'm very happy to be involved and able to meet a lot of you guys. It's been great. And I hope it just continues to grow off into the future. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Our guest today has been Nate Clark, an employee with Texas Roadhouse, spotlighting the culture of volunteerism. We hope you've enjoyed the show today and that you'll check out next week's episode. Tell your friends to check us out too. You can follow the work of Christian Appalachian Project on all social media channels. Find the show online at christianapp.org/podcast or anywhere you get your favorite podcasts. Be sure to subscribe so that you never miss an episode. We'll see you next week.